Welcome back, mercenaries, and this is it. I believe that this is it. I believe. But let's continue. Kamea Rano says, the Iberia is gone, Uncle. Ostergaard can't help you, and you have no more cards to play. For the good of our people, you must end this. Order your troops to stand down. Our people. That's what this has always been about, you know. Had you only listened to me, I would have never taken your throne. I didn't desire power for its own sake. My only care was for the Reach, its prosperity, its enduring glory. And yet you reach for that glory on the backs of our people. This thing you've built, it isn't who we are. Your directorate has fallen, Uncle. Clinging to it will not help the Reach. Nothing will help the Reach. Not anymore. This war has doomed us all. The realm bleeds, Kamea. We're weaker now than we've ever been, and soon enough, the sharks will begin to circle. What are we gonna say? Let's say this. This conversation isn't about what might happen in the future, Espinosa. It's about this system in the here and now. Words of wisdom from the mouth of a mercenary. The truth of the matter, Uncle, is that you have only one more decision to make. Will you surrender and save the lives of your soldiers, or will you allow your pride to condemn them? As I said, niece, this was never about me. Paromadir is yours. Interesting. Not what I was expecting? No. Father, you cannot do this. The Reach depends on the Directorate for survival, for glory. You told me yourself that if we fail, the realm will die. The Directorate has already fallen, Victoria. We've lost. Continuing to fight would only cost more lives. Cost lives? Cost lives? You ordered me to kill 11,000 people on Perdition, and now you care about bloodshed? There was an ocean of blood on my hands, Father. I spilled it because you told me it was necessary. And it was. But our gambit has failed. Once again, didn't know that he would say that. I called it Espinosa's gambit. It's over, Victoria. I know that it's hard for you to accept, but you must stand down. What an interesting turn. That's what I like about BattleTech. You know, you'd think that this guy would be just kind of, at this point, be just kind of your stock standard, like, oh, I'm going to fight to the end. But they're taking the writing in a way where he's like kind of putting his money where his mouth is, where, you know, maybe you can believe that it wasn't necessarily about power for him. Maybe you can believe that just because, you know, he's out of military tricks. However, certainly we are owed our duel with Victoria Espinosa, who promised that she would shear my cockpit in two. However, I was piloting the Victor in that, or I forgot, what was I piloting? I don't remember what I was piloting. Oh, an Awesome. I was piloting the Awesome. That Awesome is no more. It's actually in the scrap heap. Now she will have to contend with the King Crab. No, Father. You may have gone craven, but I am a mech warrior, and I will die before I concede defeat. You want this world, Kamea? Come and fight me for it. Your lance against mine. At the tourney grounds. The contest that was denied us. You and me to the death. For the Reach. Aren't you tired of death yet, cousin? Was the Perdition massacre not enough for you? I did that for the Reach. For our people. It was my responsibility. I didn't have a choice. But you don't understand. You never will. And so, I will make things easier for you. You don't have to understand why I've done the things I've done. You need only face me in the arena, where I will best you, as I always have, as I was trained to do. And you will give me what I want, or your dear Alexander will pay the price. My father was too weak to kill him, but I am not. Accept my challenge, Kamea. Accept it, or I will grind him to a pulp under my battle mech's foot. I almost pity you. You'll have your fight, Victoria, and yours will be the last blood that I spill in this war. Prepare your mech warriors, Fox. When I face my cousin in the arena, I want your company by my side. I wouldn't miss it for the world, Lady Arano. I'll be there. I'll see You when your lance makes planetfall. Let's bring this war to a close. Interesting.
That mech you wanted is back online. That mech
Okay, a bunch of battle mechs that we salvaged. So here's our consecutive deployments. Few details. Victoria has Lord Madeira, and she will never stand down. What she did on Perdition has broken her, and now we're going to end this in the way that it so nearly began, a duel. I will face off against my cousin in the Arano tourney grounds, and we will fight until one of us is dead. Yeah, that's right. If you recall to the tutorials, when Kamea and Victoria were joking with each other, they were going to go to their tournament where Victoria mentioned she was going to pilot a Kaga. I've never heard of a battle mech known as a Kaga. I figured that it was her nickname for her custom catapult, but I wonder if the Kaga is a battle mech, is just a... this is what I'm wondering before I launch. It's kind of a prediction. Is the Kaga not a nickname for a battle mech, but simply a battle mech that only appears in the campaign, possibly as a final boss battle mech? I don't know. We'll find out, but I don't think she's going to be coming back with the Catapult K2, much in the same way that Kamea is not going in her Kintaro. She's going in the Atlas 2. But, I guess we're going to be going this... We'll swap out the... we'll let another group come in. Lucky Duck is going in. And... Lore is going in. He was our second specialist for missiles. And I think that is appropriate. Yeah. I guess we're going in. Looks like our battle mechs were repaired. I bet if we had internal damage, that would not be repaired, but I believe our armor was repaired, which is fine because we didn't take internal damage. Well, I guess we're going to find out. If Victoria is piloting a unique battle mech that only appears once in the campaign, I think that would be pretty cool. But if not, I still think this is a good setup for a final battle. Face Lady Victoria Espinosa in a duel to the death. Recover Lord Alexander Madeira. Lady Kamea Arano must survive. Lady Arano said it all, Fox. Go get justice for Raju Montgomery and Commander Markham. And everyone else who died at the hands of House Espinosa. We'll be watching you from here.
Command interface initiated.
Incoming transmission. Victoria, I need you to listen to me. The Directorate has fallen. Our armies have been routed. Even as I speak, restoration forces are closing in on Cordia's city. If you kill your cousin now, the entire Reach will fall into anarchy. See, this is even further solidifying the idea that Santiago believed in what he said. He's saying that the worst outcome would be for Victoria to win, because then the Directorate would be destroyed militarily, and then the heir, a leader that everyone could rally around, would then also, and there would be nothing left. So once again, this is further creating this moral gray. Once again, not painting Santiago into this like would-be cartoonish villain. Like it's. I definitely am appreciating the direction in the story they're going here. And if Kamea wins, the Reach is doomed anyways. You've been telling me this for years now. Was it all a lie, Father? Victoria, this is not the time for debate. You will attend to my words and obey me, as you always have. I order you to stand down for the good of the Reach. The Directorate is the Reach, Father. I will never stop fighting for it. Wallow in your cowardice. I will win this war in spite of you. She's cut the line. You're going to have to put her in the ground, Lady Arano. She's too far gone for this to end any other way. If that's her choice, then so be it. I'll do whatever I have to save Lord Madeira. Fall in on me, Mech Warriors. We have one more wrong to right. Interesting. So, The fog of war is blocking it, but it looks like that's the entrance to the arena.
Confirmed.
Well, we better throttle up and get going. That's one thing I really like about universes like Warhammer 40k and
Standing by.
BattleTech.
Acknowledge.
Oh, looks
I'm
like the
moving.
fight will not occur there. I was not expecting that. Okay, I should have expected that.
Ready to rock.
Let's get into cover.
I'm rolling.
Right here. Right there. It took you long enough, Kamea. I was beginning to wonder if you turned tail and run. It wouldn't have been the first time. I'm here for you, Victoria, and the justice of House Arano rides with me. How poetic. I have no justice for you, Kamea. No flowery words, only pain and death and humiliation, with Lord Madeira as your audience. Let him go, Victoria. Now. Quit wasting your breath. We've both waited for this long enough. Come to me, cousin. Let's finish this. Is this a full assault lance? No. Okay, so they have a 100-ton and an 80-ton, and then 2 heavies.
Yup.
Okay, we do have an angle on them here. It's a cataphract, interesting. Haven't seen one of these in a little bit. A Jaeger mech.
They're stripping armor off of my mech. Reading you loud and clear.
Okay, so how are we going to deal with this? So,
Yes, Commander.
okay, we need to move Kamea because her defenses are down. So she's probably going to go in first,
Confirmed.
and she will tank up. Normally I would let the crab lead the attack, but I feel it's poetic to allow Kamea to charge into... Oh, so Victoria's has a customized King Crab. Nothing to lose. This unit fights with unstoppable drive, takes 20% less damage, and having a much higher critical hit chance. Her King Crab is not a stock. It has 1,760 armor, 2 extremely high quality AC-20s, 4 extremely high quality flamers, and 4 Star League pulse lasers. That could be a problem. Let's take out this mech first.
Discharging weapon. Inflicting heavy damage.
So I think what we need to do...
Cousin, come closer.
Oh, thank God, one of them missed. Fire and steel? What effect is that? Reading the effects to try to under... Devastating blow. This unit's aim and stability been crippled by a powerful... That must be fire and steel. I need to get in there and help. But at the same time...
Let's do this.
Okay, let's let some of our other... We don't have to move
Moving to
just
position.
yet. Let's go ahead and take a shot with the Gauss rifle and the LRM-20.
Lock on target.
Oh no, not a time to miss. This is not a time to miss. An awesome AT, so it's a missile support.
They flaked my armor.
Okay, I do have a shot here. And I'm in the water, so I can actually fire with all of my weapons here. This is a little bit of a risk because my defenses are down. But we need to start knocking these mechs out of the fight.
All weapons committed.
Oh, he caught it. He caught the second shot.
Enemy mech destroyed.
Follow me to victory.
Okay. Stalker can handle that from a cataphract.
Tell me what you need.
I'm guessing the cataphract is going to be our next target. Let's back up a little bit.
I got you.
And we'll go ahead and attack the cataphract because it has the next lowest. I mean, that king crab has basically double the armor of this mech right here. So.
Standing by.
How is the Atlas's armor? The right torso is getting a little worked up. It's kind of bad if I don't think we can. I don't think we can stop Victoria from getting in the water. It might not even matter. This thing probably has a bunch of double heat sinks on it. And I believe it's using... I believe she's using
Yes, I hear you.
the multiplayer version of our morale abilities. So our morale abilities increase when we do good things. Her abilities increase whenever bad things happen. Which I think that might have been where Fire and Steel came from, now that I think about it.
Affirmative.
So we'll go like this. Why do we have such bad odds of hitting him? He must have all of them have nothing to lose. Oh, wow. These firing odds are terrible. It must have a gyro. It must have a really high-quality gyro that is giving it additional evasion.
Eliminating hostile.
We missed with the AC-20 on, but that'll drop its... That'll make it a lot easier to hit.
Send your lancemates to me, Kamea. And watch.
I'm taking serious damage.
How's it going? Moving out.
Yeah, we need to thin these guys out. That wasn't quite enough.
Target's taken a critical hit.
The awesome. Everyone is focusing on the Atlas. We're probably going to need to hide behind one of these pillars to kind of block their line of sight. Let's check the Atlas's armor. Yeah, the Atlas's armor is not looking good. I think she actually called a shot on us for a change. I'm probably going to back up and just try to... I just want to finish this guy off. I'm going to turn one of my shots off.
Engaging
Got him.
target. Enemy mech destroyed.
The Directorate must fall.
Okay, so what we're going to do... We need to break line of sight with the King Crab. So we're going to tank up, and then we're just going to sprint. Like this. And just try to hide our center torso. The King Crab should not be able to get a rear shot.
Accelerating to maximum speed.
We'll reserve down.
Fire and steel.
Wow, do all of our attacks ignore cover?
Armor blow through. Internal damage.
I think all of our attacks ignore cover. I want to get the awesome in order to isolate. Okay, I'm gonna have to take the for the forefront here. Okay, here we go.
All weapons committed.
Okay, I hit with all three. We want to isolate it. We want to isolate Victoria, just to also make it kind of like an epic finish. Oh god, he's got a breaching shot, although it doesn't have the deadliest of weapons to use a breaching shot with. Can I jump into a better position? Oh, wow, I got a great shot over here, actually. Although I might want to jump with... I want to be able to use my medium lasers and my SRM-6.
Lifting off.
Like, if she just ignores cover, then I might not even bother. There we go.
Solid connection on that one. Confirmed.
Okay, we need to turn our right arm away. Like this. Really? Because he must have a really good gyro as well. Or it's her shots are causing... Yes, it's her attacks are reducing our accuracy. Which that would actually be realistic in the Mech Warrior. See, when you get shot by AC-20 in Mech Warrior, it like shakes you up like really badly. You're as much of a victim as you are a murderer, Victoria. Your father raised you to kill in his name. And you are a fool. Your father raised you to believe that you were the hero of some ridiculous fairy tale, and you still believe it even now. I don't know what I believe anymore, but this madness must end, and if you won't stop it, I will.
I'm listening.
Now, we're not going to touch Kamea, because she gets to maintain her defensive bonuses. What we will do is... What? There we go.
I'm on him.
Oh, not quite enough.
Target down.
Oh, it was enough! Ammo explosion!
Tell me what you need.
Wait, is my camera stuck? Okay, never mind. Okay.
I'm listening.
Like, I've got to stop her from getting to Kamea, because Kamea's center torso armor is really banged up, so the water is allowing me to use all of my weapons right now.
All weapons committed.
That's funny. We both have Starlink modified king crabs here. I'm just using a large pulse laser while she's not. I'm gonna reserve down. Ow! 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 Ow!
Internal structure damaged.
Standing by.
Maybe if I jump up here, I'm still in range. Yes, so we will get the height accuracy bonus.
All weapons are go.
Okay, something got exposed.
Critical hit, Commander.
You have my attention.
Now, I don't want Kamea to cower the entire battle. I don't think that would be very epic.
For justice. For the restoration.
Alright, let's start shooting back. Oh, thank God we destroyed some of her autocannon
Reporting
ammo.
critical strike. Yes, I hear you.
Her right leg, which is this leg, is vulnerable. I think I'm going to take a shot there. Take out this right here. There we go.
Enemy mech. Critical damage detected.
Reading you loud and clear.
Wow. He has such bad aim due to, what do you call it, from all of those, like, special attacks. That's fine. We're going all out.
I'll do what you ask.
Oh, she got him. All of this death. The coup, Perdition, Mastiff. All of it for nothing. It was always for nothing, Victoria. The Directorate was never going to be the return to glory that your father promised. I know, cousin. I know. Our fathers lied to us. There's no future for the Reach. You are the hero of nothing, cousin. Nothing at all.
I'm sorry, Victoria. You left me no choice. But make no mistake. Justice has been served here today. I am the Sword of Restoration. And Cormadir is free.
Mission successful. $4 million sea bills.
Fortunately, the Stalker didn't get destroyed in that. Interesting. No pieces of the King Crab remained. Probably because it's her special, unique one. I guess we'll just take these. And I don't think it matters. We'll just grab... I'm just going to fill these up real quick. Okay, we should get another cutscene.
I began this restoration because my birthright was stolen, and I wanted it back. Not for the people of the Reach, but because it was mine. I wanted war, for all the wrong reasons. But on Weldry, I traded that naivete for nobler purpose. Seeing my people suffering with my own eyes taught me why I must fight. On Artru, I found humility. Blinded by righteousness, I was reckless in my pursuit of power, and it almost cost us the war. On Guldra, I learned to steel my heart. I chose necessity over conscience, a choice that nearly broke me. Finally, on Cormadir, the world of my birth, I found resolve, and standing over my cousin's broken body, victory. Only through these lessons, paid for in blood, did I become a ruler worthy of title. A high lady prepared to sit the Cormorant throne, the protector of Cormadir, the Sword of Restoration. But this question still plagues me. Am I a hero? Did I sacrifice too much at the altar of victory? Do my triumphs outweigh my mistakes? War is a clash between conscience and necessity. An ocean of chaos and bloody compromise. War shapes history. And history chooses its heroes. As for you, mercenary, you made the liberation of the Oregon Reach a reality. Every trial I faced would have been my last without your skill on the battlefield. I still don't know if you fought for honor or for the thrill of it, for belief in my cause, or just my money. But whether it was your noble heart or mercenary mind, your actions gave us hope. That makes you a hero in the eyes of history. And you know what? It doesn't matter if you believe it, because others do. As I believed in the heroes of my father's stories. After all, when we are gone, stories are what remain.
Oh, there's Jordan Weissman. He's the guy who invented, well, he and his buddy invented the BattleTech universe. She had an interesting thought there. What she was saying is that it kind of doesn't matter if you think of yourself as a hero or not, because in the end, it's the historians of later generations that look back at history and write in their history books that they basically are the ones who get to decide, you know, who's a hero and who's not. That they can rewrite the history, they can remember it selectively, they can decide who is and who isn't a hero, which is, you know, I'm not sure. Is that a cynical way to look at things? Or is it just a realistic way of looking at things? Because, you know, if you think about it, especially the further back in history you go, like, I don't know, try to think of something as far back as Alexander the Great's conquest, you know, without sufficient eyewitness reports, without language barriers, you know, one always has to wonder what actually happened. And now it's basically just what limited records we had and what modern narrative. Well, there, look at that. They're oh, I thought they were playing BattleTech. No, that's not them playing the board game. This is probably something like the Kickstart. Look, she's got Davian patch. You're not from BattleTech. Get out of here, Kylo Ren. There's the Thundercat symbol. But so something that I get really, I've mentioned it before, that I tend to really not be interested in a lot of games that are story driven. I tend to find that because a lot of them are too cartoonish. You know, you've got your obviously bad villain. He's just bad because he's bad, or you've got your good guy who's good because they're good, and you know, there's no lessons to be learned. And you know, I always feel like there's certain series that I can rely on. I never would have expected BattleTech to return. I thought BattleTech was gone basically for good. I didn't think, when MechWarrior Online came back, I thought that it was just going to be kind of an online game like World of Tanks, and that there wouldn't have really been anything to it. I just thought that was it. I didn't think they would actually basically because that's what this game is, kind of a reboot, because there's simply too much history in BattleTech for a newcomer just to jump right into. You know, we can't just pick up, you know, right after the Word of Blake Jihad in the Dark Age. I wouldn't even know what's going on. Like I know of the Dark Age, I know of the Word of Blake Jihad, but I wouldn't recognize the battle mechs. Like, I don't recognize, or WOB for short, Word of Blake WOB for short. I don't recognize what WOB mechs look like. You know, I don't recognize what Dark Age mechs look like. They're so different from, like, the battle mechs you saw here. These are a lot of the classics. These are the ones that, if you were to go back to like the 90s and play MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries, the first mech you start in is a commando. You know, you'd recognize it. The first mech that you see is a catapult. As in the tutorial, a guy named Deadeye Unther trains you how to play the game. in a catapult. The first battle mech you fight against is a javelin, which appears in this game in the expansion. In one of the expansions, the javelin light mech is added. One of the first battle mechs that, I upgraded to, because in MechWarrior Mercenaries, it's kind of like this game, except from the cockpit point of view, is typically the regular crab, the 50-ton crab, and that mech is in the expansion. So, one of the earliest missions in MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries has you fight a Vindicator. You could play that game and you'd recognize the battle mechs because they chose such iconic ones, and that would be very different. If we were to jump into the Dark Age, there would be a lot of mechs that you just wouldn't recognize. There'd be a lot of mechs I wouldn't recognize just because I'm not familiar enough with that timetable. So they rebooted the series so that they could reintroduce it to people who've never experienced the game before. I think that's a really good idea, and it also reminds me that there's a guy from WizKids. WizKids continued the BattleTech story after FASA went out of business. I don't know. I think the last of the FASA games is during the FedCom Civil War, which is after the Klan invasion. I think it's directly after the Klan invasion, which, like I said, is the most iconic period in BattleTech. Like, people know about the Klan Wars better than any other part because it's just... I don't know, it's just the most epic part of BattleTech when the clans return. Because, I've probably mentioned the clans a few times. Like, who are the clans? Very, very complicated question, but the most important thing to know about the clans is that there are alien animals in BattleTech, but I don't think there are alien humanoids. But the clans are humans who, they have developed a culture so different than what we are used to that they may as well be aliens. Like, the way of the clans is extremely different than ours. Their culture is very different. They have their own language and lingo, and they have a very strict honor society. Very, very, very strict honor society that makes them feel extremely alien and very strange. But the important thing is that the reason why the clans are remembered so well, one, it's probably some of the better story. It's some of the most epic stories in the BattleTech universe, and also just the stakes are probably the highest in the clan invasion because the clans are the greatest mech warriors probably of all time. They may not have the singular greatest individual mech warrior. I don't know who that is. That might be Kyalard Liao. But even then, like, if Kyalard Liao is technically the greatest mech warrior of time, it's not by a huge margin. But what would certainly not be an exaggeration. It would not be an exaggeration to say that, in general, the clans are just mech warrior for mech warrior, hero for hero, like veteran for veteran. They are the greatest of the mech warriors of their time. A lot of it due to their eugenics program of passing the genes from their great heroes downwards, and their extremely strict caste-based society where the highest rung of the caste is the warrior caste. And when they invade, they introduce a huge quantity of never-before-seen battle mechs, like fresh, brand new designs that have never been seen before, highly advanced weapons that have not been seen, weapons and mechs that exceed that of the Star League even. And they were so powerful, so advanced, that the Inner Sphere, the great houses, finally set aside their differences, and even that was not enough. When the Inner Sphere set aside their differences and, in a sense, reformed the original Star League, that still was not enough. What stopped the clans was the mysterious Comstar led a last-ditch gamble that would never have succeeded against anyone except the clans, because they took advantage of the clan's unique social structure and extreme emphasis on honor and challenged them to a trial in their own way. And the Star League, because like I said, they're very mysterious, they held this great tournament, this kind of like Dragon Ball Z tournament of power, invited the greatest warriors of all the great houses everywhere in the Inner Sphere to find out who the greatest pilots were. And then they revealed that they were sitting on a cache of pristine, perfect condition, perfectly maintained Star League battle mechs. And what they did was, after they hosted this tournament and found out who the greatest mech warriors were in the Inner Sphere, they brought these, ancient Star League, pristine, perfectly maintained battle mechs out of storage and challenged the clans to a duel. And the rules of the clans are really into these things called trials. The trials are basically the clan's way of settling differences in the least destructive way possible. If two clans go to war with each other, they go to war through duels. So rather than having two armies clash and have cities destroyed, they settle their differences in duels, and all of the clans are expected to obey the results of these duels, because that's just, they live in the deep periphery where resources are scarce. So even if your clan could win through total military conquest, if you lose the duel, you are expected through honor to accept that you lost the duel and that possibly the weaker clan in overall military strength wins that disagreement. And that disagreement could be over planets, territories, trade deals. And all of the clans are expected to obey this because their society would fall apart if they didn't. And if you were to break from this tradition, you'd be declared as Desgra. Then they'd all just swoop in and annihilate you because you're jeopardizing their way of life. So the Comstar challenges the clans to a duel where the stakes were, if we win, you have to sign a temporary truce. It was the Truce of Tukiad. If we win. I can't remember what the clans bid in return. Like, okay, if we win, this is what we get. And no one would agree to that. Like, you can't imagine, like, if the U.S. went to war with, like, China and Russia, and then we get challenged to a duel, like a dogfight or tanks or whatever you say, and whoever wins the duel wins the war or has to sign a truce. Like that's crazy. And it's treated like that in the story. It's not treated like, oh, that's normal. No, it's treated like, this is crazy. Like, how could this possibly work? But it's only because the clans are the clans that had any possibility of working. And they're still like, what if they just choose to, not obey it? Like, what if they just choose to be, nah, screw it. We're just going to defeat you anyways. They could have, but that was the gamble that Comstar made. And obviously, I think you can tell through contextual clues that they won the duel. And the clans agreed to a temporary ceasefire. And there's kind of a two-parter story. There's the invasion of the clans, and then during that temporary truce, the Inner Sphere bands together to attack the clans during the truce. Just because the Inner Sphere doesn't give a crap. They're kind of like, man, we don't have this kind of like, this whole honor thing is dumb, we're not into that. And so they launch a counterattack. And once again, just due to the bizarre nature of the clans, they decide to watch, because Clan Smoke Jaguar is the target of the Inner Sphere counterattack. And the other clans are like, oh, they just decide to watch, because once again, it's their very strange culture that they have. They all decide to watch, and they're like, if you're not man enough to defeat the entire Inner Sphere, then you just suck. That's just kind of the attitude that the clans have. You just stink. You don't deserve to be one of the clans if you can't take on the Inner Sphere single-handed. They're not even eugenically, like, bred. Like, they're a bunch of losers. Like, if you can't fight them, you just You just don't deserve to live. That's kind of their... In fact, when the Inner Sphere deals like a crippling blow to Clan Smoke Jaguar, the other clans are just like, you don't... They just did say that, I guess you just stink, so we're just going to come and murder the rest of you because you suck. You're too weak. You're not worthy of being one of the clans. And they just, basically destroyed and absorbed the remainders of Clan Smoke Jaguar. And like I said, like they have a very strange, distinctive culture that may as well make them aliens. But I feel like that's probably what, if they make a sequel to this, that is about. But I was very happy. I felt there were parts in this story, not to go off on a tangent, but I kept bringing up the clans, and I wanted to actually have a moment to talk about them. But in this story, I felt there were a few parts that were a bit rushed. I didn't think that it was a bad, but I felt like, okay, one of the good examples is when Kamea claims a big portion of the Directorate fleet. I don't think that was a bad story, but it happens a bit abruptly, and I'm imagining that they knew that it happened abruptly too, and they probably were like, well, we have a limited budget, and we've got a story to tell, and it just felt like maybe we needed a few more missions to get to that point. But I also will say that I understand that, I know that this was a crowd-funded game, so there are probably moments where they just didn't have the funding to make every single campaign mission that they wanted to. But there are things in the story that I'm glad I could guess it, because I was like, there's no way that Ostergaard is just going to go back and face the firing squad. And I liked how they painted him as an antagonist, not necessarily a villain. I mean, he did villainous things, like, he had his scorched earth policy, but at the same time, they portrayed him as kind of just an antagonist. Like, it's like, you wronged him, and he's just like, I just don't care. I don't care. I'm going to finish this. If he has the support of the Tarian Concordat, then great. But if he doesn't have the support, he's like, that doesn't change anything. He's like, I renounce my citizenship. I just have to do this. He even had a mutiny, which I thought was another really great plot point. His own people are like, this is crazy. We have to go back to Taria. He's like, nope, I don't give a crap. This is just how it has to go. He's like, I don't have anything. And same with Santiago. They could have just made him into this cartoonish villain. He's like, hee, I'm going to, twirl my mustache and be this, this evil guy. But from that first cutscene where he's like, I understand the gravity of what I'm asking you guys to do. I'm telling you to, you're going to take arms against your own people. It lends a lot of credence. It lends a lot of believability to, that this isn't what he wanted. It lends a lot of believability to that if Kamea agreed with his plan to basically consolidate the Aurigan Reach into more of a monarchistic, non-democratic government, it lends credence to the idea that maybe he never would have launched his revolt. Maybe he never would have attempted a coup. Maybe things would have went entirely different, and none of this would have happened. That leaves you this kind of interesting idea. I'll put it this way: if Santiago Espinosa was just a cartoonish villain, then you already know he would have, no matter what Kamea would have done. He's a cartoonish villain. He's like, I'm just super evil. I would have launched this revolt anyways. But because they didn't present him, especially towards the end, as this cartoonish villain, you don't know. Who knows what would have happened if it went differently. I also like that, he knows that the Aurigan Reach is just this pipsqueak backwater. They're incredibly weak. Even, the Second World, the Tarian Concordat is incredibly powerful compared to the Aurigan Reach, and yet the Tarians are nothing compared to their neighbors, a real first world power like the Federated Suns. And I like how, this is all like a gamble. This is all it's not him being like, no, we're just going to be ultra powerful. No, he accepts, no, we just have to be the pawns of the Tarians. It's a very believable story. It's not, like I said, they didn't make him into a cartoonish villain. They didn't make him this power-hungry guy where he thinks he's just going to rule the Inner No, his plan is like, no, I just want to make sure there's a future for the Aurigan Reach, and by allying with the Tarians, it's going to make it very awkward for the neighboring powers to invade the Reach. And he does have a point. As righteous as the Federated Sons would want to portray themselves to be, they're still imperialistic. All of the 5 houses are very imperialistic, and it's true that now the Aurigan Reach is extremely vulnerable. Their military has been devastated, and this is a really good time for any of the superpowers to come in and wreak havoc. This is a time for pirates to come in and wreak havoc. This is a time for mercenaries to act as the proxies of nearby powers to attack the Aurigan Reach. Like, now that there is this just this massive loss of military might within the Aurigan Reach, you know, I do think that Dominique's or not, I don't know why I keep calling him Dominic. I think of like Gears of War. Why Santiago Dominique? That's because in Gears of War, Dominique's last name, I think it's Dominique Santiago. He has a. It's just a realistic possibility. That's the main thing I'm trying to present here. And like I said, I do like that. You know, most games I play these days, I don't take the stories seriously, just because most characters are cartoonish villains. Most of them have foregone conclusions. And while it's not bad to have foregone conclusions, here's an example. It's a foregone conclusion that we were going to have a rematch with Victoria. That's not a bad thing, though, because we want the rematch with Victoria. I don't think anyone wanted to redeem Victoria. I don't think anyone wanted to see Victoria see the light, because she's it's too late to see the light. You know, you've already committed yourself to this. That would have been just a really like head shaking, face palming kind of story. Just wouldn't have been good. Whereas, or another example would have been Ostigard. What if Samuel Ostigard's like, yeah, but I guess I'll just go back to Taria, stand trial, get killed in a firing squad? That would have been a stupid ending. That would have been super lame. And that's just not believable either. Like I just don't see him doing something like that. So even though it was kind of a foregone conclusion, I was feeling like that's probably going to be what he's going to do. And that was good. It didn't matter that was a foregone conclusion. It was perfectly appropriate for him to fight to the end. I completely forgot about the Lacura, the scrambled up data. Once again, that was a Chekhov's gun. You know, all of the plot details they used were plot details that they didn't pull any Deus Ex Machina. The Lacura was something that was identified and it was shown to be in storage, so they didn't just pull it out of nowhere. Also, Ostigard coming to the rescue or coming to help Espinosa out, that wasn't Deus Ex Machina for him. Like, that was a logical thing. They didn't just say, oh my god, and then this happened out of nowhere. Things happened for pretty good reasons. Now, I wasn't sure if Alexander was going to live or die. I felt it could have gone either way. I'm not upset with the way it went for him. I think it's okay that he had a good ending. And overall, I felt like the story was just fine. And I think the only part that I didn't like, and when I say I didn't like, I understand why I didn't like it. It was, an epilogue. Kamea, oh, look, her portrait has changed. Fox, Darius, Sumire, Yang, Farah. Through your courage, skill, and sacrifice, the Reach has been saved and I have reclaimed my throne. Without any one of you, our campaign would have ended in tragedy. I can never adequately repay you for the services to the Reach. Oh, Alexander Madeira says, I owe you a great debt as well. Without your company's help, I would be dead. I consider it a great honor to call you my friends. What am I gonna say? If you ever get tired of politics, you're always welcome on our crew. A compelling offer, Commander Fox. I'll keep it in mind. It's a new era for the Reach, and I have you to thank for it. The Directorate has fallen, Victoria is dead, and my uncle is in chains. You took Espinosa alive. What are you gonna do with him? Initially, I was going to try him myself, but Alexander convinced me otherwise. There are risks inherent in holding such a man for any length of time, and the Reach is in fragile enough state as it is. Don't worry, though. He'll receive his justice soon enough. Consider my curiosity piqued. What did you do with him? We've handed him over to Protector Thomas Calderon to be tried as the mastermind of the Perdition massacre. His war crimes tribunal is being assembled as we speak. The Tharians are quite appreciative of the gesture. Oh ho ho. I'm sure they were. And the last we'll hear of Director Espinosa. He brought this fate upon himself. I'm afraid that our time is growing short, Fox. We have a great deal of work to do if we're going to recover from this war. But if you have any final questions before we move on to the subject of your pay, I'll be happy to hear them. Before we talk about money, I'd like to hear what's next for the restoration. After all we've been through, I feel invested in your success. I was wondering the same thing. I mean, you've retaken the throne, that's wonderful, but the Reach is in ruins. How are you planning to rebuild? Slowly, and with great caution. We can't afford to spread ourselves too thin, but neither can we leave our more marginal systems hanging. In the short term, we're going to need to secure funding and support from sources outside the Reach. The economy of the old Oregon Coalition is all but destroyed, and our infrastructure is in an extremely poor shape. How do you intend to go about getting that support? However we can. Political marriages will be invaluable, our sovereignty will be our greatest asset, and I'm still thinking through ways to capitalize on it. We'll have difficult time ahead to be sure, but we will weather them, Commander Fox, and the Reach is nothing if not resilient. And now, Fox, we should move on to discuss your company's compensation. You've certainly earned it. For your exemplary work, both on and off the battlefield, your financial debts are now forgiven. Those were the terms of our arrangement, but you deserve a little more than that, I think. From this moment forward, the Argo is yours. I relinquish her into your control. You may consider her a bonus for a job well done. A second token of my appreciation is on its way to your mech bay now, Fox. Please accept it with my compliments. Let's see. Thank you, Kamea. We'll put your gifts to good use. Good. And with that, Fox, I'm afraid I must return to matters of state. My people need me, and I must get back to helping where I can. You'll always be remembered as friends of the Reach, every one of you. We'll see you again someday, I'm sure. I'd like that. Until then, I'll bid you a very fond farewell. Be well, Fox. I wish you success in your adventures to come. The image of the view screen flickers and dies. Lady Arano is gone. I guess that's it. Our contract with Lady Arano is ours, and the Argo is ours, and we're free to do whatever we please. Man, it feels weird saying that. We can do whatever we want. We're not beholden to anybody. It feels pretty sweet. It's a pretty sweet feeling, I gotta say. So who else wants to go and find some new trouble to get into? Peacetime is beautiful and all, but it's starting to feel a little stale in here. I'm game if you are. Trouble is our business after all, and we've got more than enough battle mechs to handle whatever fate throws our way. Whatever fate throws our way, huh? Sounds like a challenge to me. Roger that, Fox. I'll pull up a fresh batch of contracts. Take your stations, everybody. Let's go find ourselves a new adventure. Now that the war is over and we're debt-free, we can go anywhere we want on the star map. No more hostile nations or sealed borders to worry about. Feels good, I've got to say. Now that you've reclaimed my throne and the Reach is once again at peace, I imagine you're more likely to need this Atlas II than I am. Take it with my compliments, Fox. You've earned it. Oh, so she gave us our her battle mech.
You asked for. Is
Known
ready
as the
for
Atlas II, the DHT model carries more energy weapons and is usually a lighter, more flexible autocannon. Still has unbelievable protection and the same crushing melee ability as other Atlas models. Okay, let's see. Any other unique messages? No, no, and no. So what that means now is that we can go anywhere we want on the map. And we can continue playing the game. Let's see, do the Tarians still hate us? Yes, they do. They have not forgiven us, but you can see we can go over into Davian territory, we can go into Liao territory, into Merrick territory, and into Centrella's territory. We can go anywhere we want, and now the game is kind of a free mode. Play all you want, do whatever you want. And this is very similar to the career mode, except the career mode, you get to start completely from scratch. Kind of like State of Decay 2, actually. Or kind of like the free mode in State of Decay 1, where basically you start from nothing. Let's go see our Atlas II. Over here, ironically, the other really big battle mech that we could get. So the Atlas will always be easy to recognize because of its skull-shaped head. The cockpit is one of the... I don't remember which eye is the cockpit, but the cockpit is in one of the eyes, and when it's properly designed in the MechWarrior games, it can kind of feel weird because that means your cockpit isn't dead in the center of the mech. It's a little off to the side. It's just kind of weird on the perspective. You feel off-centered. You do feel it. It is notable. Yeah, another thing, the Atlas's main gun is easily recognized on its hip. And yeah, the Atlas is just known as the king of the battlefield. It's just, it's one of the two best-known battle mechs in all of BattleTech. The other being the Mad Cat, or the Timberwolf, depending on whether you give it the clan name or the Inner Sphere name. And the Atlas is just a symbol of military authority all over the Inner Sphere. It's armed with the 2 medium pulse lasers. You can see a lot of double heat sinks as it is the Star League variation. We've got the LRM-20, the AC-20, 2 ER large lasers, obviously an extremely deadly battle mech, an alpha strike of nearly 400 damage, and packing 1,520 armor. This Star League version of the Atlas II, it's definitely a beast of a machine. At any rate, I guess that's that. This is the end of the BattleTech Restoration Campaign. At any rate, I had my closing thoughts, so I think that's good enough as it is. I will come back and revisit BattleTech at some point. I'm not sure when. I do like this game quite a bit, so don't be surprised if I revisit it sooner rather than later, but I do know that there are other things that the people on the channel want to see. I don't even know what game I'm going to do next. I don't have anything planned. I might actually take 1 or 2 days off. Like, that's weird. Like, usually the YouTube grind is not a good idea. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to commit to any idea of what I will or will not do, just because I just don't know. I do know that on March 13th, I will be playing State of Decay 2, the Juggernaut Edition. But at any rate, I hope you enjoyed this playthrough of the BattleTech Restoration Campaign. Hopefully, I made a few new BattleTech fans out there, people who've never heard of this series before. It's really a pillar, I think, of science fiction for being a more realistic take, no magic, No crazy special powers or anything like that. No aliens even. Alien wildlife, yes. But as I said, I think it's a central pillar to the science fiction world, and I thought it was really a huge loss when BattleTech faded into obscurity when FASA had its financial troubles. But hey, it's back now. But stay tuned for the career playthrough, where you'll get to see all of the new technology. You get to see some of my favorite weapons like Ultra Autocannon. Really love that. Love autocannons, but really love Ultra Autocannons. But who knows when I'm going to do that. At any rate, that is that. Like this video if it was entertaining. Subscribe for eventually future BattleTech content. And of course, remember that you don't have to be good to get good.